the main question is really, how to find an appropriate place, within the post-conflict society. And that usually relates to jobs, relates to one's place, in the society, and so on. So this has been, I think, a challenge all along since the beginning of the peace process. In that context, I think the say integration, the incentive, the economic incentive, can only help to a certain extent, as a bridging fund, if you like. We often talk about the importance of having a program that can actually help former combatants and also even victims of the conflict to really integrate itself into the larger society, so they can actually find appropriate jobs and so on. But an emphasis on the financial incentive and also the distributions of land, I think serve only a very small part of the need for the reintegration process. Secondly, this problem will not go away unless the new government in Aceh actually come up with a much, I think, broader plan in order to really stimulate the economy, because at the end, after a few years of say peace or stability, people would see and would demand more on the economic dividend of peace rather than only in terms of peace and security or public order. So this economic demand of the people, I think, will require the government to really see the development strategy that they need to come up with. And in Aceh, I think this has been pointed out as one of the problems that has not been really addressed, because the flow of money into the region through the international assistance more or less has declined. But at the same time, the flow of money to the province, from the central government and also from other sources actually has begun. So in that context, the government in Aceh need to really think with their own resources in order to address this problem, and then really show to the people, including of course those former combatants and also the victims of conflict, that peace can really deliver, especially in the economic front. On the sides of the non-material satisfaction or non-material peace dividend, there is still, of course, a problem with regard to the transitional justice, if you like, because Aceh has been the site of one of the most gross violence of human rights in the past. But I personally think that these questions need to be addressed and resolved. But the questions is really about the timing. Because if you learn from other cases around the world, say for example in Cambodia, it took them 30 years before truth came out, and then the whole society moved to the reconciliation. In Aceh itself, there are different opinions with regard to this particular issue. Should we immediately move toward the establishment of human rights court and then try to resolve these cases of the violation of human rights now, or probably wait? For the victims, of course, they really want to see the truth first, because I think universally, people believe that there would be no reconciliations, unless they know the truth. But in Aceh, segments of the society, including the ulama, are still reluctant, to address this issue, because they are afraid that this will actually reopen, the old wound. Even though they also recognize that, because the memorandum of understanding between the government of Indonesia and GAM does provide that provisions, and also in the law on governing Aceh. On the other hand, I don't see a very strong commitment on the part of both former GAM rebels and also former military in Indonesia, because we all know that both sides actually committed all kind of human rights violation. So in my view, the questions of timing is really important, because we need maybe to wait until generational change take place, both within the former GAMS group and also within the armed forces here in Jakarta, and then also after peace has become irreversible, because now I still believe that if we don't really take care of this, peace process, then, relapse is still a possibility.